You really want me to shake your hand? I insist. If you insist.
In this essay, I'll be discussing the Western film genre's conventions, stereotypes, and tropes, and how they are or were harmful to certain demographics and shaped American ideologies. We all know Westerns. Themes of guns, violence, exploration, and good versus evil, just to name a few. But where did this all originate from? Well, the Western genre as a cinematic form originated in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as it drew inspiration from the American Wild West, particularly its period of settlement and frontier expansion. It evolved from a combination of real-life Wild West shows, dime novels, and early cinema experiments. Back in the late 19th century, the American population had a great fascination with the American West and Wild West culture. Particularly interested in shows such as Buffalo Bill Cody's in the late 1880s. These shows, with their reenactments of frontier life and iconic figures, set the stage for the narratives and characters that would define the Western genre. Films in this genre, much like many other genres, were created as a means of escapism for audiences, allowing them to leave their mundane and tiresome lives behind for a short while, so they can go to the movies and consume media that portrays a way of life they were so curious about, and that wasn't so far away, in an adventurous and idealized way.
I'll say it just one more time. In our streamlined world today, adventure takes wing. Planes scuttle across country at amazing speed. Man has raced around the earth in less than 4 days.
When analysing the Western genre, what better film to focus on than the 1939 film Stagecoach, directed by John Ford and starring John Wayne as its hero protagonist, Claire Trevor as Dallas, an exiled prostitute who plays the leading woman role. As you can see, just reading out the character descriptions of both male and female roles gives us a good representation of the character tropes in early westerns. The men often played leading roles as the macho, stoic, hero archetypes who fight evil and save the day. Whereas women in westerns were often portrayed as a prize to be won and took on tamer roles, often as the stay-at-home mother character trope. The Truckee Times states that because of the timeline that they're set or filmed in, many westerns are blatantly racist, sexist and bigoted in their portrayals of non-white male characters. Women and Native Americans often taking the brunt of this. The classic trope of the male protagonist saving the day of the lesser, weaker female character has remained in the film industry in Hollywood since its conception in the early 20th century, and was heavily reinforced and encouraged by the Wild West genre, until the revisionist Western movement in the 1960s, with films such as The Quick and the Dead, which depicted women in more violent, strong roles.
Ladies, the winner!
Although I claim that the Western genre was bigoted towards women in their depiction, it's important to note I'm not saying the portrayal was sexist, but rather extremely stereotyped and cliché.
He also provided you.
Like I mentioned earlier, Stagecoach, like most westerns of that era, also included racism and racist stereotypes.
Well, if there's anything I don't like, it's driving a stagecoach through Apache country.
That fueled and promoted specific ideas within the American population, particularly towards Native Americans. The film depicts the Apache tribe as savages that attacked the white civilized settlement through the film, killing several characters. Depicting the natives in this light gave audiences false impressions of the culture and fueled hate between races even after the actual Wild West era ended in the late 1800s. The Searchers is another example of a classic western that displays racist themes and stereotypes, as it follows the story of a Comanche tribe that slaughters white civilians and burns down their town. One user on social media page Reddit stated that upon watching the 1956 film, he grew a hatred towards the director John Ford.
What did you think you would achieve when you made your first pictures?
I thought I would achieve a check for money. That's all I thought about.
And that the killing of the faceless Indians like zombies kept alive the idea of Indian savagery even long after that way of life had passed. What's interesting is that films like this are still being made today. Take the 2015 film Bone Tomahawk, directed by S. Craig Zahler, which follows basically the same premise as The Searchers to a T. Both with the damsel in distress trope,
Mrs. O'Dwyer was abducted.
as Kurt Russell's character tries to save the female town doctor after abduction from Indians, but also with the ruthless and disingenuous portrayal of an Indian tribe, which matches that of The Searchers almost directly. So, I've covered several films in the genre that use harmful stereotypes and themes, but let's look at a modern film that subverts some of these. The Hateful Eight, made in 2015 and directed by Quentin Tarantino, follows the story of an African-American ex-army bounty hunter. Played by Samuel L. Jackson, the character is portrayed to be smart, skilled at gunfighting, powerful, and even has multiple scenes where the white man is at his mercy, an aspect that would have been unheard of in Hollywood 50 years prior. This film is a statement to how the culture within westerns have evolved, and how different races can display the same power dynamics, unlike earlier films within the genre.
Was before.
Colored boy! Where'd you all come from?
Films have become extremely influential, dominating a big part of the entertainment industry over the years, as motion picture was used to bring stories to life on the big screen. A huge array of stories developed through the change experienced by individuals within the world, and influencing audiences' opinions on every aspect of life.
So